All right, guys, we are back in my garage for another video, and today we're going to be installing subframe inserts on my F3340i. These are a really nice upgrade to help improve the driving feel of your car and reduce the rear end slop that a lot of you are probably experiencing, especially as you add horsepower to your car. It definitely becomes much more noticeable. Also, if you're tracking your car, it can give you a much better driving feel and better rear end stability. So this is a really nice upgrade that a lot of people overlook, but I think this is probably the best first upgrade that most of you should consider if you're planning on going down this route of tightening up your suspension. So I'll talk about it a little more, show you guys how it installs on your car, and hopefully you guys find this video useful. Now, as always, for everybody that's new to the channel, I create these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments in our community, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in more videos like that, be sure to subscribe because there will be a lot more coming out in the future. Now, the inserts that I'm going with come from Powerflex, and I've gone with the Black Series inserts for a couple different reasons. One is just because I want the best performance. The Black Series inserts are going to be the stiffer side of inserts that you can install on your rear subframe. Basically, the way they work is they have extra material that goes inside the gaps of the bushing on your rear subframe so that it fills it up, makes it perform more like a solid bushing, and the stiffer the insert, the more solid it will respond. So it will basically eliminate the rear end slop that a lot of you, again, probably experience, especially as you add horsepower to your car. Unfortunately, I don't feel comfortable putting a GoPro under my car to show you exactly how our subframe kind of lacks in performance. But thankfully, another YouTuber did make a video that kind of shows you what we experience. So I'll have his video down in the description if you guys want to check that out. But he kind of shows in his E92 M3 how the subframe can shift around. It kind of goes back and forth. As you accelerate hard and brake hard, it basically looks like it's doing its own thing completely separate from the chassis. So in order to eliminate that feel and give you a much more direct response between your pedal and the actual wheels, you basically can install these subframe inserts to get rid of that shifting. Now, another nice advantage is this doesn't have a big impact on NVH, which is noise, vibration, and harmonics or harshness. So a lot of the upgrades that we do to our suspension, like springs and coilovers and stuff like that, can make the car feel stiffer. And this is something that isn't going to have a big impact on your driving comfort because of the direction that it's actually improving things. So accelerating, braking, that doesn't really have a big impact on how things handle over bumps. So you're not going to feel like the car is handling really harsh or struggling to stay stable on the road. So great performance benefit, minimal impact on driving comfort, and of course it's much easier to install compared to an actual solid subframe bushing. Keep in mind our front subframes are already solidly mounted to the front of the car, so there's no bushing to replace there, but if anything that would probably have a bigger impact. Now you're basically upgrading the rear subframe to perform more like an F80 or G80 M3. These cars come with solid subframe bushings from the factory, and so we're kind of replicating that design on our non-M series BMWs. So with these inserts, you don't actually have to drop the subframe. You simply slide these in. They fill in the gaps in our subframe bushings and make it perform more similar to a solid bushing without having to completely remove the subframe, press out the old ones, and press in new ones. So it's a nice kind of budget-friendly option that you can install in your garage and get a nice performance benefit. So I'll show you guys how we install that on my F3340i. Let's hop over to the car and I'll show you how it's done. So the first thing you need to do is jack up the car. I've got both the front and rear jacked up since I'm doing some other service at the same time, but really you only need to jack up the rear so that you can access the subframe, but do whatever works best for your situation. All right, so now we are under the car and I'm gonna try to explain the concept of this really quickly, and then we'll go ahead and do what I'm talking about. Also ignore this wet spots underneath here. I had a little bit of a mishap while changing the fluid in my differential, so ignore that. But the subframe is mounted in 4 different points. So there's one right here, there's another one on this side, and then 2 more towards the front of the subframe. And what we need to do is lower the subframe without completely removing it. So each of these bolts, we're going to remove them and then thread them back in like 2 or 3 turns, and that will allow the subframe to be lowered without completely dropping it, which is just a lot more work. It can throw off your alignment and stuff like that. So instead, we're just going to lower it, and then on each corner as we actually work on it, we'll fully remove the bolt, and that will allow us to get the insert into these bushings and fill in those gaps. So first we're going to start with this bolt. This is towards the rear of the subframe, so closer to the rear of the car, and it is an E18, so we'll remove this one first. It is torqued on there pretty good, so you might need a breaker bar or something to get it off. Now on this one you can see there's kind of this big washer that comes with it. So take the washer off. We will be putting that on, but you can just put it to the side for now. And then we take this and just thread it back in just a couple turns. And you can see basically it now has this much space to actually lower the bushing down. So we'll do that on this side. This is the right side of the car. You'll also do it on the left side of the car. Also, I should mention, before we go too far, you want to go ahead and put a jack holding up the subframe. So that way, as you remove the bolts, this will kind of support it. And then we can safely lower the subframe on the bolts after we've gotten everything removed and loosened. So put your jack right underneath the middle and then continue removing the bolts from both sides. Now towards the front of the subframe, you're going to see the actual bolt is back here, but we've got some stuff to remove in front of it to actually get to this point. So what we're going to do is remove this trim panel. So we're going to come under here and remove this 8mm nut. And then we have two T30 screws on the side. These little plastic screws, so we can remove those. And then it's kind of hard to see, but back here in the rear wheel well, there are two push pins that you need to pop out. So there's one right there, and there's one, focus, right there. So pop out those two push pins, and then you'll be able to remove the trim panel. And now with the trim removed, we can remove this tension strut. So we've got two E14 screws here. And then we've got the main bolt right here. This is the one that goes through the subframe. Again, we're going to remove it, remove this tension strut to get it out of the way, and then just thread it back in a couple turns so that the subframe has something to rest on when we lower it. And then, yeah, you do this on both sides. This is the right side. We'll do it on the left side of the car as well. And then we'll slowly lower down the subframe onto these bolts by dropping it on the jack. Now I've removed the wheel so that it's easier to kind of access this and see what's going on. I definitely recommend it. Now, seeing how much room I have, this will make it easier for you to do it too. But basically, like I said, we're going to be installing one insert on top and one insert on the bottom. So if you look at the Powerflex bushings, they have these numbers on them. And let's see, this one ends in an A. So this one is going to go on the top. And then this one, let's see, where's the number? There we go, it ends in a B. So this one goes on the bottom. So basically what we're going to do is just look at the alignment inside the bushing. Like if you look in there, you'll see it very easily, but basically it goes in this orientation. So the flat part that's connected goes towards the back of the car, and then these two fingers that are loose go towards the front of the car. And like I said, this one will go on top, and then the bottom bushing, it's the same thing. So it has one piece that's connected, and then the other side, there's two that are kind of like loose fingers. This will go on the bottom and push up like that. Now I installed this on the other side already, and it actually just slid in really easily without any grease or anything. So let's try it again and see. Yep, it just fits right in. That's super convenient. So we'll go ahead and install
The top one as well, a little bit tighter. There we go. And kind of push it down. And it's that simple. So you can see, basically you've got the bushing on top and the bushing on bottom. They fit a little bit loose, but once you tighten it up onto the body of the car, it'll hold everything together. So now we're looking at the rear bushing, and pretty much we're going to do the same thing, but the inserts do look a little bit different. So you can see on here in person it's a little more obvious, but like on the left side it's slightly thinner than the one on the right side. So the thicker rib is going to go towards the rear of the bushing. And again, if you try to install it both ways, it'll be really obvious. One way it'll slide right in, the other way one side will kind of get stuck. Now, because these are so much thinner, it does come with some grease. So this will come inside the package, and you just kind of want to put it right on top of the insert. Use it very liberally, especially on this smaller one, because these thin ribs just kind of want to flex and don't want to stay in place. So this will make sure it slides right in. So just rub that in, get it all over the insert. And then same thing, the bottom one's a little bit thicker, so that one is going to go towards the back. And then on the bottom one, this one goes in easier, but we're still going to use the grease just to make sure we don't have any problems. And yeah, it's as simple as that. Now we're going to go ahead and jack the subframe up so we can get our bolts back through, and then tighten this back into position. And now we're going to go ahead and tighten these bolts. The main 4 bolts holding your subframe to the body will be 80 foot-pounds, and then these smaller bolts holding the tension strut to the body are 35 foot-pounds.
And yeah, it's really that simple. Once you tighten everything up, go drive your car, make sure there aren't any unexpected rattles or anything like that. If you torqued it down properly, you shouldn't really have any issues. You should just be able to enjoy the benefits of tighter response in the rear end of your car with minimal impact on driving comfort. So I'll have a link in the video description to the parts that I ordered, and I definitely think this is a nice upgrade. Keep in mind there are a lot of different options out there. These are just the ones that I went with because I got them for a good deal. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.